Hi, everyone, and welcome to episode 6 of the Sustainable Community Life podcast. Today, I'd like to dedicate this podcast to a topic that my spiritual teacher, Thomas Hubel, likes to refer to as global social witnessing. The idea behind being a witness of life, of trauma, of hardship is the idea that if we care and we bring our heart to focus on the initiatives and projects and healing that might make a difference, that we can make a big contribution. And even if that witnessing is merely being present for what it is that's disturbing or concerning us, that act of bringing our presence and our care to the topic at hand makes a difference. And the area that's most interesting to me, you won't be surprised if you listen to my podcasts, is the whole question of bringing our love, care, and attention to the unconscious ways that we live outside of intentionality or outside our being connected to nature. The whole heart of sustainable community life is the idea of finding a way to live more in harmony with nature, also create complementary, permacultural ways to enhance other aspects of our lives. If we live with the rhythm of nature or in the rhythm of nature, we also find that the economics that we focus on and the social connections that we focus on create a harmonious and complementary quality such that we learn to share. And in sharing, we create a sharing economy. That sharing economy then lowers our need to make money so that we can buy things we no longer need. And then we find a way to be in social connection with others, such a way that we can then give our lives meaning to spending time with people that we share a common bind with. And so the aspect of living in a social, ecological, and economic network, nucleus, ecosystem, helps each element. The ecology is better because the economy is no longer exploitative, because the economy is local and circular, and we keep the energy within a local community. Our social engagements are better because our social engagements are with people who we are in community with, who are part of that local economy, who then produce the ecological results. And so this trifecta of social, economic, and ecological orientation, values, and underlying governance and ways that we choose to value things down to our day to day starts to really work. But I believe that at the heart of the challenge, at the sort of beginning point of addressing the frozen permaculture of the ice, the industrial consumer economy, is melting that ice with our hearts. And what I mean by that is that when I witness the tragedy of the way that humans have interacted with the environment, the fragmentation, the isolation, the reductionism that is a function of hundreds and hundreds of years of post-Renaissance scientific, industrial, economic thought, which has really produced, for lack of a better word, the disaster that we are in the Anthropocene and the underlying collision course that humanity is on with its own extinction. When I witness that, I ask myself, can I witness that with tears? Can I feel the sadness of the way that we treat the planet? Can I attune myself to the tragedy, not by becoming nihilistic and becoming numb or by trying to preach and proselytize to convert people to become ecologists, but to simply witness the pain, humans living out of alignment with nature, out of alignment with community, of an economy that is so exploitative and reductionistic and extractive that it produces all this waste and unconsciousness, which then produces this consumerism and the ripple effects of all of that. Can I weep in the face of that? Can I feel the tragedy of it so that instead of being numb, I'm attuned and then allow myself to be impacted by this human tragedy that I'm talking about? I believe that it's very difficult for many of us to attune in this way. I'll speak for myself in that what I notice is that as I melt the ice, I find deeper layers of ice. I shared in episode 4 my reflections my vulnerable reflections about being at the Dancing Rabbit Eco Village and sensing how foreign it was for me to have so much space, and that I wanted to default to achieving because it felt uncomfortable to be that free from all of those economic and associated convenience orientations that have robbed me essentially of the ability to be really present with nature, present with myself. And so I noticed that I myself, even though I'm doing the Sustainable Community Life Project and I'm surrounding myself with weeks and weeks spent in community, I am sensing how hard it is to melt this ice. And I had an experience recently where I left community and went into the mainstream. I still work in the mainstream economic system, trying to bring consciousness to that in the ways that I work in that mainstream. I'll share more about this in another podcast. But what I noticed is that when I went back into the mainstream, that there was very little room for me to express my heartbreak of the way that a big city so incomprehensively wastes energy. Gigantic areas heated and cooled in ways that provide nothing in the way of essential value. Maybe they're aesthetically beautiful because they've got really tall ceilings, but in a world where we're literally consuming the earth at the expense of our children, to so blatantly and so unconsciously use energy, waste, the amount of waste. I was at a conference, 600 or 700 people, and it was literally like a waste factory. Everything being thrown away: plastic cups, plastic plates, plastic forks, paper from the food that's eaten, just on and on. The unconscious way that we consume and waste just literally broke my heart. But there was no room to express this, no room to take this information in. And, when I did speak up, I was doing a keynote speech. I made reference to it, as I typically do, but it's like I have about that much room to make a comment in the context of all this room to talk about the making money thing that we're doing in the world. And as I reflect on that experience, it's as if we're living a life where we're having a puppet show, and the puppets are talking about something really important to the puppets. In this case, it was making a lot of money for technology companies and making a lot of money for ourselves and playing the capitalist growth at all cost games. That's the puppet show. As I stood back watching the puppets saying, why this show? There was very little appetite to saying that it was even a puppet show, that it was the whole show for them. And when I insert we should weep, we should feel some aspect of culpability, responsibility, caring, being a witness to the devastation. No, the puppet show is the show. Don't call it a puppet show. So I guess I'm reflecting my own personal, and it feels like societal appreciation, my own personal appreciation for the resistance to the numbness, because to take this in and feel this is simply fucking hard. And I'm deeply appreciative of the willingness of the few of us who want to allow the tears to come and believe that we're doing a gift to humanity by being willing to cry when we see what we've done to our precious planet and the ways that we've deprived ourselves of meaning by not figuring out how to create that trifecta of caring for the earth, being in the rhythms of the earth, having our economies surround that with local regenerative circularity, and then having our contribution be holding those two things, that circular economy, that care for the land, as our source of meaning by virtue of the way that we build communities that ideologically, philosophically, spiritually, practically support that capacity. I hope that this was a useful exploration into the need for tears and the value of pursuing a deeper feeling state around the polycrisis and any aspect of the polycrisis as it relates to our lives. And I'm looking forward to increasing my sensitivity and melting the ice. See you next time.